Good evening. As it is 5:30 p.m., I will call this City Council meeting of October 1st, 2024 to order. I'm presiding at the request of Mayor Wright, who is attending the Washington County's Board of Health Conference and Training, as well as the Association of Washington Cities Mayor's Exchange. Tonight, we acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people, and we pay our respect to those past and present. Our invocation will be provided by Pastor James Sanchez of Life Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you choose, please rise and join us in the invocation and the pledge.
Cool. Well, Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for each of these men and women that have been placed here by your sovereign hands to lead our community. Lord, we ask that you bring unity to the city of Oak Harbor, that you give us vision and clarity in all areas of this city, Lord. And we just ask for your grace and favor in Oak Harbor and over this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Sanchez.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Per usual, this will be both a physical and a virtual meeting. Some members of city staff or consultants may be participating via teleconference. Today's meeting may be viewed on YouTube, Facebook, and following the meeting on cable channel 10, HD 1090. At this time, I would like to ask our city clerk, Julie, to do the roll call.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Arms. Councilmember Wittgenstein.
Present.
Councilmember Stuckey.
Present.
Councilmember Hoffmeyer.
Present.
Councilmember Marshall.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Hizon.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Councilmember Wiesner has asked to be excused.
I would entertain a motion to excuse Councilor Wiesner.
I move to excuse Councilmember Wiesner.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Stuckey, second by Councilor Wittgenstein, to excuse Councilmember Wiesner from tonight's meeting. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Are there any suggested changes to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will proceed and approve that as presented. Tonight we've got no presentations, so we'll go straight into our citizen comment period. Citizens may comment on consent agenda items or on subjects of interest that are not listed on tonight's agenda. Citizens will have the opportunity to comment on the remaining comments since the script came out.
No, we have not, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public present who wish to speak on items not listed on tonight's agenda? And if so, if you signed in, the clerk will call your name in the order in which you signed in. So, Julie?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. First on our list is Jacqueline Diaz.
Are you able to get close enough to the mic?
Should be fine.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Okay. Well, hi, my name is Jacqueline Diaz. I live here in Oak Harbor on Fort Nugent, 2741 Southwest Fairway Point. And I wanted to comment about the accessibility part, looking at a few things to possibly add. Wheelchair accessible merry-go-round, wheelchair accessible obstacle course, and accessible paths for wheelchairs and manual and motorized and adaptive bikes.
And merry-go-round. I'm writing all those down. Thank you, Ms. Diaz. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak? Julie, do we
Mayor Pro
have?
Tem, yes, we have, I'm hoping I'm saying the name correctly. Is it Willa Pierce? Willia Pierce? Delia. Thank you.
Oak Harbor City Council members and Mayor, good evening. My name is Delia Pierce, and I'm the mom of one Michael James Pierce, who has, right or wrong, has been the center of my universe. Needless to say, he rocks me and his daddy's world, my husband, Cecil Pierce. When I told him about the wheelchair swing, being the 38-year-old male that he is, he was really nonchalant about it. But I think that attitude will change once he gets a girlfriend. And who knows, after a couple romantic swing dates, I might just become a grandmother. Of course, they will probably get arrested. But hey, I will be a grandmother. On a more serious note, I love Carl Jung's concept of appreciating people the same way we appreciate sunsets. When we look at a sunset, we don't say, turn down the red, bring up the orange, and splash some purple across it. No, we sit there and marvel as it unfolds right before our eyes. This inclusive park very much reinforces Carl Jung's concept of appreciating people the same way we appreciate sunsets, in that families will see their disabled children or adults, the beauty of their spirit unfold right before their eyes through joyous play. Think what that moment must feel like to a family, for the parents to see their disabled child playing alongside their non-disabled siblings or their non-disabled friends. Think for a moment what that must feel like for them to see that happen for the very first time. To see the concept of full inclusion crystallized before their very eyes. Now, I would like to quote Brian Smith, Park Director of the Parks and Rec, the Director of Parks and Rec of City of Oak Harbor. When I said to him and his board that I thought that the project they were working on was the most consequential and influential project that they will be working on in their entire lives. And Brian Smith said, and I quote, "We are just getting started. It is our job to transform the city and community of Oak Harbor." And that, my friends, is exactly what we are doing, transforming the city and community of Oak Harbor. Maybe not right here, right now, but in the future, for generations to come, with the help, support, and blessing of the Oak Harbor City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pierce. And thanks to you and your husband for being tremendous advocates over the years. We appreciate you. Julie, do we have anyone else signed in?
No one else is signed in, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. Is there anyone present who didn't sign in but wishes to speak? Okay. Seeing none, we will now close public comment and move on to our consent agenda. Staff has presented the listed consent agenda items, all of which are included in the meeting packet. Are there any objections, changes, questions about tonight's consent agenda? No? Okay, seeing none, that is approved as presented. Next up is mayor's comments, and I'm going to thank you in advance for your patience. There is a whole page of them. First up, we have good news from our engineering department. Engineering technician John Pollock writes, "The revision of the East Whidbey Avenue at Regatta Drive intersection is being completed today, October 1st, 2024. This revision is introducing an all-way stop control. Previously, only travelers headed east on East Whidbey Avenue had to come to a stop on Regatta Drive, and now all directions approaching the intersection will be under stop control. Our Public Works Street Division is deploying stop signs with enhanced red flashers, new stop bars, and traffic revision ahead signage. The work is anticipated to be completed before the end of the day today. Our rationale for this revision of this intersection is to provide both safety and a cost-effective measure to provide for long-term function of the roadway. Recent analysis provided in the area indicated that anticipated increases in traffic volumes will cause the intersection to fall below the city's goals for safe passage and throughput of vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists. We anticipate that the public may take some time to adjust to this revision and that there may be some complaints. Feel free to share our rationale for the change as you see fit. If encountering a public complaint, please be sure to direct our community member to either info@oakharbor.org or the public comment form on the city's website for appropriate routing to staff. These traffic revisions have been shared with the Oak Harbor Public Schools, Island Transit, and the U.S. Navy Community Liaison. School zone sports and other activities. Just a reminder that in addition to school being back in session, so are school sporting events and other after-school activities. Please remember to slow down in school zones and be aware of students and pedestrians in the area. And for anyone who didn't already know who might be interested, the homecoming game is next Friday, the 11th, I believe. Boards and commissions opening. The city has a number of openings on our various advisory boards and commissions, a list of which are displayed on the screen. Please fill out an application online if you're interested in serving. The city also has openings for employment in several areas. See our website for a complete listing. Local events. Summer may be over, but there are several terrific special events happening in our area, many of which are displayed on the screen. For example, the Coffee with a Cop is tomorrow. Check the city's website calendar for details on those. Our second Marina Open House is also tomorrow, 6 p.m. at the Yacht Club. It was standing room only when we held the first open house at City Hall. So tomorrow's nights will be at the Yacht Club, which has a little more room. And I hope that we have a similar turnout to the first one because the participation was phenomenal. We also are conducting our comprehensive plan survey. If you go to the City of Oak Harbor's homepage website, there's an opportunity to weigh in on our 5-year long-term comprehensive plan in terms of transportation and safety and planning. So we would love your feedback on that as well. This time, I will call upon City Council. Anyone has any comments for the good of the order? Councilor Stuckey.
I'm not going to 20-minute filibuster. They inspired me a little bit, so I'm going to take a little moment here. As council, we try not to we all have our own biases. We all have things and projects that are important to us. We try to be neutral and take every issue as we can, but each one of us has a thing. When I moved my family here in 2016, I came here just for a job. I wanted to own a funeral home one day, and this was the opportunity. We didn't know at that time about my son's disability of autism. We just had no idea. We just moved here for a job, and I did not know that this city had an exceptional families base, which is actually a place where folks with special needs kiddos actually seek out. And I'm just going through my life, and I decided to join a Rotary Club because why not? I want to be involved. Happens to be that Rotary Club has a grant for those with special needs. These are just coincidence things, you could say. You know, I prefer to thank God, but coincidence as well. The idea came up about an accessible playground by we'll say the current Parks and Recreation Commission chair. We'll call her that. We'll stick with that because that's what she is. I agree with you. This is one of the most important things we can do, especially to those that would utilize it. I'm not saying every single person would go there, but it can bring community together. You know, I feel this community has been exceptionally welcoming of my child. It's truly a great place to live. I try not to talk about his challenges much because I don't want to use that as a political thing. But it truly has been amazing, the community here. But, you know, sometimes he's a little different, and sometimes we go places and there are questions. Having a place like that where there's just no judgments, there is no questions, kids are just being kids, would be a wonderful thing to have. And I thank you both for coming and talking about it. It is something we're working on, but it's something that's in the background. We're waiting on funding, we're working on plans, and that can take time. We need people like yourself to come here and continue to keep it in the public eye. You know, it wouldn't be right for me as a council member to continually go on. So thank you. If you have anyone else who wants to come and comment in the future, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Counselor Hoffmeyer.
There we go. Jackie, Delia, thanks for coming in. Love you guys. I truly believe that Oak Harbor currently probably has one of, if not the best city council they've ever had. That said, a council in any government can only move the ball so far without the assistance of the community. So thanks for jumping in. Jackie, I know you've always been huge with the people first thing. Delia, my gosh, you've been involved in politics forever. Keep it going, and like Brian said, bring more. Thank you.
Any other council? Counselor Wittgenstein.
Yes, thank you so much for the public comments. We really appreciate it, and I'm excited about this park and the more to come, hopefully, that we can do to just strengthen our community from all levels and all aspects. With that as well, Thursday the 10th at 5 p.m. is the christening, I guess, of the highly controversial statue. But as a person on the Arts Commission and understanding and respecting what arts can do for our community, it's an exciting piece to see get finally completed and put up, and then in the future we'll see those revisions of Flintstone Park as well that goes along with that. So just wanted to let everybody know. Didn't want to be the one to stay away from it. So.
Thank you, Chris. Any other council comments? I would like to echo Councilor Stuckey's comments about the accessibility park and the impact on not just the people using it, but their families. Mrs. Pierce, as you so lovingly put it, it's, yeah, like Councilor Stuckey said, there are some things that are really near and dear to our hearts, but we try to, maintain a level head. My oldest brother, who had muscular dystrophy, who we lost several years ago, was wheelchair bound, and when you were talking, I was picturing what it must have been like to have seen him on a swing, as a kid, or to be able to be beachcombing with me. That's something that we never got to experience. And so it's sometimes I think we might be a little too good at kind of pulling our, our personal feelings out of these city issues. But I think it's important that we not lose sight of what things actually mean to someone in a way that's bigger than just providing a service or something. So thank you for bringing that home and reminding us of that. That was really meaningful, and I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna pull myself together. Anybody else? Okay. All right, thank you, council. We've got a pretty short agenda tonight. We've just moving straight to contracts and agreements for the SCIDEU, my favorite acronym of all time.
It is a great acronym.
SCIDEU, Multi-Jurisdictional Drug Gang Firearms Task Force Interlocal Agreement. Presenting this will be our Chief of Police, Tony Slowick.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. Chief Slowick, I'm presenting the Multi-Jurisdiction Drug Gang and Firearms Task Force Interlocal Agreement. So the background with this is that organized criminals, including drug traffickers and gangs, and the crime they generate do not respect municipal and county jurisdictional boundaries. Also, law enforcement has scarce resources to handle these complex investigations. It has been proven nationwide and actually internationally that multi-agency task force operations prove effective in reducing organized crime and drug-related crimes at all levels. Since 1980s, the Skagit County Interlocal Drug Enforcement Unit, or SCIDEU, has been in existence, and that's a combination of officers from multiple multiple agencies in Skagit County and also federal partnerships. In June, I believe it was the June 22nd meeting, Tobin Myers, the commander for the task force, presented what SCIDEU is all about and their operations to City Council. So really the situation for Oak Harbor Police Department is that we haven't had a drug enforcement officer or that component since 2014. We know that Deception Pass is a corridor between counties, and that often the same people that we interact with that are committing criminal activities in Oak Harbor or Island County travel to Skagit County and further on to commit the same crime. So we know that pooling resources and forming task force and partnerships is essential to our operations. And currently we have two specific partnerships with agencies in Skagit County. One is our SWAT team. We have a North Cascades Regional SWAT team, which is made up of agencies in Island and Skagit County. And we have our SMART team, which is our Skagit and Island multi-agency response team, which is an officer-involved incident response team. So this is another interlocal agreement that would fall in line with those two agreements. So benefits of joining the SCIDEU, or the task force we can call it, is provides drug enforcement capabilities in Oak Harbor and the greater area, adapts to the community's changing needs by providing low and upper level organized criminal nuisance, drug, firearm, and gang crime investigations. Effectively helps with sharing intelligence with agency partners, and increases our public safety capabilities as we look at drug trends and crime trends. And then it expands the local, state, and federal law enforcement resources that we have available here in Oak Harbor that we don't have the financial capabilities to support ourselves if we were trying to do those individually. So if we were to join the task force and sign this agreement, really our obligations are to agree to execute the necessary documents to get grant funding, because the task force is primarily funded through grant funding. That's both at the state level and the federal level. Authorize police department personnel to participate in SCIDEU activities, so when they have task force operations and we have the available resources, that we support those as we can. Enter an obligation for mutual aid across the state, which we already have entered into with every other law enforcement agency, but it's consistent with our other two interlocal agreements. And then as we get staffing up, and this is as we talked about, that 34 police officer model or commissioned officer model, as we get staffing up, we would assign a full-time person to the task force. And that's a commissioned officer. So the funding cost, that's always the question, right? What's this really going to cost us in the funding stream? So SCIDEU has been funded for over 20 years through federal and state grants. They recently just became a Homeland Security task force, and they have allocated Homeland Security funding for as long as they maintain that status. That will fund their operational needs. They still continually apply for federal and state grants. In the event that that funding stream evaporates and is no longer there, there is contingency funding model that's been placed in this interlocal agreement, and it's been broken down by population. So with Oak Harbor, by joining, we would pay 14% of what the operational cap would be. The operational cap is based off of 25% of the operational funds they need, not to exceed $100,000, so that could be up to $14,000. In the event that funding happened, that would come out of the police department's budget. So I'm happy to take any questions, and here's the motion for agreeing and allowing the mayor to sign this interlocal agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Slowick. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on Chief Slowick's presentation? Please step up to the microphone, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Richard Hoover. I've been resident of Oak Harbor for 47 years. In that past 47 years, I served 25 and a half years in the Navy. I have personally taken part in 4 JTFs of the SCIDEU model. And I really encourage the board and the mayor and everybody in the city of the benefits of the SCIDEU model. And thank you, Chief, for bringing this to the floor.
JTF, is that Joint Task Force?
Federal, local, state.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, any other public comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, I will turn to council. Councilor Hoffmeyer, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I like it, very supportive of it. Dollars-wise, it's not a big difference, really. Percentage-wise, I was surprised that we're almost triple what Burlington is. And I guess the other thing that surprised me was Island County is not on there yet.
They aren't, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be the first agency outside of, so municipal or county agency outside of Skagit County to join the task force. Currently, there are federal partners, but nobody outside of Skagit County.
Well, thank you so much for leading on this. And I know we have totally different budgets, but maybe the county can follow suit at some point.
Definitely.
Any other? Councilor Wittgenstein?
Well, Councilor Hoffmeyer asked my question, so this is exciting. I think it's the right thing to be doing. And if there's anything we can do to assist getting the county to take a look at this and getting to be a part of it too, so that there's no gaps and areas, please let us know for sure. I'm willing to make a motion unless, okay. I motion to authorize the mayor to sign a multi-jurisdiction drug, gang, and firearms task force interlocal agreement, also known as SCIDEU interlocal agreement.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Wittgenstein to approve the recommended action as presented, second by Councilor Hoffmeyer. Any other council questions, comments? I've got one question to follow up on the Island County thing. At what point does a task force like this become too big? Like, is that a concern,
No,
or are
not at
you
all.
interested in
I
adding
think
to it?
I think the challenge, as Commander Meyer presented at his meeting, is the challenge is actually having enough staff to do safe operations, and getting people dedicated to a task force is really important. Not to speak for the sheriff or their financial situation, but recently they joined the SWAT, our
Right.
SWAT team,
Yeah.
and they recently just put somebody on the team. So they're definitely a good partner in our area, and we have a good working relationship with the sheriff's office. And I think this is something that he would, definitely want to join if he gets his staffing up. I think it's always a challenge. So.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's nice to see that big list of participating parties is not, working against the organization. And to clarify, the 14% funding, that only kicks in if the federal funding falls through?
That's correct. So if they lose their Homeland Security funding, and then there are no other grants available to them, then that's when that contingency funding will kick in. I know that Representative Rick Larson actually has a bill going through federally to support Drug Task Force, knowing that the state has sort of repurposed some funding that used to be available, so.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, even in worst case scenario, I think that $14,000 would be a steal. Okay, any other questions before we vote on the motion? The motion on the table is to approve the recommended action as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seconds, do we count the seconds? Okay.
Make a motion and we adjourn.
There being no further business, I will accept your motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved by Wittgenstein, second by Hoffmeyer to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed?